video is just kind of a quick follow-up to some stuff that we're discussing in our seminar this weekend, which is how we progress sensory exercises from things we're relying on our back and breathing and feeling things to loaded exercises. And that's kind of our goal, is to kind of look at like what are the pieces that the client is missing to get them from a position where they're really supported on the ground and to a standing position where they're loaded. All right. So there are two things that we want to look at when we're building an exercise progression. One being sensory competency, which is what they feel. Okay, the muscles that pull our client to their stance side or pull our client into the position that we want. Okay, and that's feeling the muscles as we perform the action. Okay, and then there's motor competency, which is just moving well. Okay, like doing it correctly, getting what we want, kind of having those checklists. So we want both of those things as we create a progression, especially for beginners that are in pain and have maybe had kind of a heightened pain response, and really building that out in a way that is going to be relevant for them. Okay, so I'm going to use the example of a lunge. Okay, because I get this a lot. It's very hard for people who have issues with like their toes, their knees, this and that to get into a good position. And one of the reasons that is because they have trouble feeling their posterior chain. They load their knees excessively because they lean forward, they shift their weight forward. Gravity kind of creates a little bit more compression in that area. So I'm just going to show you an exercise progression that I like, that might be something that I utilize for a client that has that issue. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do when we're teaching a client to move to our stance side is just start them on their side. All right, so we'll start with an exercise called a side lying adductor pullback. Okay, and for this, I want to engage my stance side muscles. All right, and those muscles are going to be my adductor, okay, or my inner thigh, okay, my hip internal rotators, or my glute med, okay, my anterior glute med, as well as my hamstring to some degree. All right, so in this position, you could consider this a frontal plane position. I'm lying on my side. I want to cue the client to find these muscles first in a very supported position, and I could do this in either prone or supine. I'm going to choose to do it in side lying just so you can kind of see what this looks like here. But again, the first thing I'm going to do is cue the client to pull their hip back and kind of open the foot up a little bit. Okay, in this position, I'm going to start to feel my hip working back here. Okay, and again, throughout this motion, I should feel that muscle doing work throughout this exercise. Number two, I'm going to push my knee into the block, so I feel my inner thigh kind of firing up as well. Number three, I'm just going to kind of side bend a little bit to my left side so I can feel the stance side oblique here, the oblique of the upside. All right, finding these muscles, I'm going to cue the client to take a deep breath in, exhale, and we're just going to hold this for about 5 breaths. Okay, and if I did that properly, if we were doing a table test where we're trying to do like a side lying adductor pullback test or a adduction drop test, I should be able to extend a little bit better and adduct to the floor, which you can see I'm still having a little bit of problems with, so I might want to try another intervention. But let's say that was our phase one. Okay, once the client had pretty good results with that, we were getting them neutral, they were dropping down. Step two is going to be to come into a little bit more of a weight-bearing position. So again, we're going to come up into like a half kneeling position here, where again I'm going to push I'm going to find the same muscles. I'm going to push my foot into the ground and dig back, so I find my hamstring. I'm going to find my inner thigh and rotate to my stance side. Okay, so I'm kind of rotating this way. I'll do it with the opposite leg so you can see me. But again, foot in the ground, digging back, finding my inner thigh, finding my oblique, and again just breathing here. But again, the breathing is just, again, telling my body, giving my body a little bit of stability in this position, being able to check breathing, making sure that my diaphragm can descend and ascend. I have good control here. And I can continue to fight and feel the right stuff. From here, I could literally do the same thing by just standing up. Okay, I can just kind of come into maybe a slight position where my knee is slightly bent to the backside, but again, I'm breathing, but still supported to some degree. Progression after that would be something like a weight-bearing ISO, where, okay, I'm dropping down, but again, I can rotate to my stance side while pushing my knee in. So again, I'm still using this block as a reference. I'm just making a little bit more weight-bearing. Again, breathing in this position. Until finally I can do things like a split squat with a twist where I'm coming up and down, syncing my breathing. Into something like a goblet split squat, where now I'm not so worried about that anymore. You know, I might cue the client to turn to the side a little bit to shift to the stance side, but the focus is now a little bit more on loading. Okay, so some takeaways there are, number one, making sure that we could find and feel the right muscles up to the point where we're starting external loading. Okay, sensory motor competency, both sensory and motor, are important up to that point. Once we start adding load, motor competency is going to become the thing that we're focusing on more so. So, I mean, once I'm loaded, I'm not thinking about do I feel this, do I feel that? I'm thinking about making it look pretty and doing the exercise. So rather than an internal cue where I'm like thinking, find this, find that, I'm thinking, okay, push the floor away, control my body. Okay, I'm thinking externally versus internally. So again, just using that same thought process, consider things like a squat, okay? Consider things like a push-up. Consider these basic movement archetypes where we're trying to get our clients from floor-based open chain exercise to standing exercise, all right? What are the keys where we can move them from point A to point B, you know, feeling the right stuff? I'll do more videos on future things like squats and push-ups and different things, but the key here is progression, okay? What is level 1? What's the test retest? What's level 2? What's the test retest? What's level 3? And this might happen in a warm-up, okay? I might literally just put this in client's warm-up, one thing after the other to kind of cue them up to that point, you know, if they've already gotten there, just as a reminder. Or, you know, this might happen over the course of 8 weeks, you know, as we just use movement progression. So you kind of have to pick that based upon the client's competency level, maybe their age, you know, all these different factors. But once you see them do a good job and they remain neutral over a period of time, let's say, you know, several sessions, then it's time to move to the next level. So again, those are my thoughts on that. Let me know if you have any questions.